There's a storm. There's a storm all around us. It's everywhere. There is no refuge. There is no respite. No safe haven, no sanctuary, no shelter. We seem to be in a tempest of titanic proportions. Never has there been a blizzard this big, a whirlwind this wild. We as humanity are in the midst of an immense impediment. And while there is hope, there isn't yet an end in sight. There is no timeline for when this will conclude. This isn't a season that will predictably end. Rather, it's a dynamic dilemma that morphs into a variety of forms, and some of these forms are preferred and some of these forms are unpreferred. But what if? What if there is a safe space within this storm? What if you, me, we were able to learn the skill of working inside this commotion? What if this was as simple as abandoning our older thought paradigms and embracing a new set of mental convictions? Hi, my name is Arjun and I am a life coach, a psychotherapist, a motivational speaker, and a writer. Over the last 2 decades, I have worked with people across the world and organizations to help them to transform themselves even when within a tumultuous environment. As I record this video in April of 2020, we are in the grips of the coronavirus crisis, a situation that is unequivocally the greatest tumult that our world has ever seen. If you are a first-timer here on my channel, I welcome you. And if you have been with me before, then I welcome you back. My thanks, my gratitude, my appreciation to each of you for being with me here today. Join me as we explore and discover themes and abilities within ourselves that can aid us in navigating this or any other labyrinth. On my channel and in these videos, I share with you simple yet unconventional ideas that will help you to traverse this or any other chasm. So let's get started. So there is a storm. And in a storm of this nature, when there is no escape, when we cannot flee, the safest place to be is in the eye of the storm. The eye of the storm is the center of the hurricane, the midpoint, the open gap that is smack in the middle of all that commotion. It is the calmest portion of that upheaval. I don't know if you know this, but that central point of the storm is surprisingly tranquil. It is unruffled. It is still, even though it is within and surrounded by absolute pandemonium. The winds do not blow there. The sky is clear and the air is at rest. Now, admittedly, this eye of the storm will move. It will shift. It will transition into new terrains. But what if? What if you, what if me, what if we could move, shift? What if we could transition along with this eye? What if we were able to move just as that central point moves? And what if we were able to always remain in that eye of the storm? What if we were able to continue to stay within that eye of the storm? If we did this, we would always experience serenity even when surrounded by adversity. From a deeper perspective, from a more personal standpoint, this storm is the storm that is raging within you and within me. It is the rampant surge of our most disempowering emotions. It is the storm of our unbridled feelings. It is our erratic sentiments and it is our inconsistent moods. Most of the work that I do in coaching and training and even among my friends and often with strangers too, is to discover ideas and tools that can predictably bring you emotionally, sentimentally back to the center, back to the calm within the storm, which is the eye of the storm. When you are centered, when you are in the midpoint, in a place of emotional neutrality or equanimity, you are calm, and yet from a place of quietude, you are able to observe the chaos around you. You remain unaffected by the pandemonium, and you are still able to objectively notice the dynamism that pervades. And this is the goal. The goal is to arrive at, to bring yourself to that place of emotional stillness, because from this place you make the best decisions, you lead effectively, and you resolve challenges with ease. Hence, the work, your work, my work, our work is to get to that center, that is to get emotionally centered, and then to stay in the center. So get to the center and then to stay in the center as much as we can and for as long as we can. So there is the storm. The storm is all around us. It is ubiquitous. And within this omnipresent storm, we endeavor to find a place of calm and relaxation. That place is the eye of the storm, the central portion, the midpoint, that circular spot within that storm is called the eye of the storm. And within the eye, there is calm, there is tranquility, there is peace, and the skies are clear and the air is still. The metaphor of the storm and the eye of the storm is a comparison to the emotional turmoil that takes place within us when there are challenging circumstances that occur on the outside. And our goal, our objective is to get to a place of emotional centeredness and equanimity in the presence of confusion and chaos. I'm going to share with you 2 tools that will help you to do exactly that. Here is tool number 1. This tool is called slow. More specifically, it is called slow motion, and it takes 3 minutes. Here is how it works. Set a timer and set your timer for 3 minutes, and for 3 whole minutes, move your body as if you are in slow motion, slow speed. How slow? Reduce your speed to 30% of your normal speed. Not by 30%, to 30% of your normal speed. So, for example, if your regular speed on a scale of 1 to 10 is 10, then bring your speed down to a 3 for 3 whole minutes. Don't sit still. This is not stillness. Motion is required for this to work. So move, but just move slowly. Let me show you with my hand. If I do this, and if this was a speed of 10, for the tool, I might move my hand this way. So at a speed of 30%, do what you would normally do. Stand up, walk towards the kitchen, pour yourself some water, take a sip, and so forth. And do this for a whole 3 minutes at 30% of your normal speed. Most importantly, even move your eyes at 30% of the speed. If you want, you can even talk at 30% of your volume and 30% of your pace. And to the extent that you can, slow down your breathing. Inhale as slowly as you can. Hold your breath for a couple of seconds and exhale really slowly. This method, this tool, immediately addresses stress, anxiety, irritation, frustration, and anger. When you move your physiology in slow motion, your brain starts to correspond. More specifically, your brain waves respond. You see, tension in the mind is represented in the brain as a high beta brainwave state. Slowing your movement for 3 minutes brings your brainwave state down to the alpha state. In the alpha brainwave state, it is difficult, if not impossible, to think thoughts of fear or pain, and hence very hard to feel any of those unsavory emotions. There is a part of the brain which is called the amygdala. And the amygdala is the part of the brain that switches on whenever you experience anxiety, fear, or desperation. This part of the brain instigates fight, flight, freeze, and fear. This slow motion technique switches the amygdala off and moves brain activity to the front of the brain, the area of the brain that is called the prefrontal cortex or the forebrain. The forebrain or the prefrontal cortex now allows you to think creatively, coherently, and rationally. It moves you from the domain of desperation and into the province of inspiration. 3 minutes, that's all it takes. Depending on your stress levels, you could do this once, twice, or even 3 times a day. When you do this slow motion technique 3 times a day for 3 days in a row, you cannot help but notice change. You will be calmer. Whenever I have used this with clients, with folks who I have coached, especially when done for 3 consecutive days, I notice that their tone of voice even changes. That's right, not only will you feel calmer, you will also sound calmer. And at the end of this adventure, you're going to be looking, feeling, sounding very different, very calm. Your facial expressions will also reflect that peace within you. A fun thing to do if you are at home and if you're with family is to do this with your family. The kids will love it. You can have a laugh together and make it a game. And this will also teach your children to manage their brains in a better way. Okay, so that's tool number 1, and tool number 1 is called slow motion. 3 minutes, once, twice, or 3 times a day, depending on your levels of stress and anxiety. And now let's move on to tool number 2, and tool number 2 is called sporadic motion. Okay, so that was the first tool, slow motion, and here is the second tool. This tool number 2 is called sporadic. Sporadic motion, just like slow motion, sporadic motion is just an extension of tool number 1. The word sporadic means random, erratic, or intermittent. The purpose of this tool, sporadic motion, is to enhance your neuroplasticity. What does that mean? Doing this particular exercise, sporadic motion, causes your brain to become more flexible, more malleable, more plastic, more versatile. I have used this tool with my coachees to substantially enhance their CQ, creativity quotient. I have also used this to help people enhance their CQ, compassion quotient, creativity quotient and compassion quotient. Sporadic motion is a far more dynamic tool, and it is best used after you have experienced the slow motion tool that was explained earlier in this video. So how do you apply tool number 2? Tool number 2 is applied in 5 steps. 5 steps to sporadic motion, tool number 2. Step number 1 is do tool number 1. Do the slow motion tool technique for 3 minutes. That is step number 1. Step number 2, immediately after doing the slow motion tool, now for 30 seconds. Remember, the first tool is 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes slow motion. Step number 2 is for 30 seconds, move in fast motion. That's right. For 30 seconds, move your body as quickly as you can. Talk as fast as you can. Increase the rate at which you breathe. Move your eyes faster, your hands, your body, everything. Increase the speed. Move fast, in fast motion for 30 seconds. Please be careful when doing this. Set up your environment so that you do not break something or hurt yourself or others. That's step number 2. Step number 3, immediately after fast motion, once again, repeat slow motion for 3 whole minutes. Slow down, consciously bring all your attention to slow speed, slow movement, slow your speech, slow eye movement, and slow breathing for 3 whole minutes. That's step number 3. And then step number 4, you guessed it, step number 4, once again, fast motion. Move quickly, increase your velocity, fast breathing, and just move at a very, very rapid pace for 30 seconds. And step number 5 of sporadic motion, our closing step, is we close once again with slow motion, willfully slow down, consciously come to a very slow speed for your final 3 minutes. These are the 5 steps. So the sporadic motion tool is like a club sandwich in a sense. It's slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. 5 steps. So slow, slow, slow are the breads, and the fast, fast is the filling, and that makes your club sandwich. This particular activity, sporadic motion, builds mental resilience. It teaches your brain to recover quickly from challenges or crisis. It engages the whole brain rather than just the left or the right hemispheres. Sporadic motion tutors you to gain control of your thoughts at a faster rate than ever before. It aids you to get quickly into and within the eye of the storm. When you do this for 3 consecutive days, once or twice a day, don't be surprised if you suddenly start coming up with prolific ideas to enhance the quality and the direction of your life. With one of my clients, after 1 week of sporadic motion application, this particular client, his conflict with his spouse was greatly reduced. The couple started to communicate better because he became a better listener. She actually told him that for the first time in years, she felt like he really cared for her. This stuff really works. There is a science to it. There is a neuroscience to it. Use these tools, tool number 1 and tool number 2, with diligence and improve your capacity to remain within the eye of the storm, to remain within the eye of the coronavirus storm and any other storm that may come our way in the future. To be able to apply these tools effectively, we need to discuss a word, and that word is harmony. Harmony. Harmony is what you feel when you are consistently within the eye of the storm. Words that are similar to harmony are joy, synergy, flow, peace, tranquility, cooperation, rapport, and stability. All of these words can be used to symbolize the true essence and the meaning of the word harmony. The opposite or the antonym of the word harmony is disharmony, and words that align with disharmony are conflict, disunity, discord, disagreement, dis-ease, violence, and hell. This is the list of words that typify disharmony, which is the opposite of harmony. So if harmony and disharmony are opposites, then they must most likely behave like opposites. What does that mean? Well, let's look at another set of opposites, shall we? Light and darkness are also opposites. Light and darkness are polarities. The presence of one cancels out the other. When there is light, there can be no darkness, and during darkness, there is no light. In our physical realm, these two opposites, light and darkness, are divergent, so they do not coexist. The presence of one denotes the absence of the other. With the word harmony, if harmony is akin to light, then disharmony must be comparable to darkness. In challenging times, such as this virus situation, perhaps you are most likely to feel the presence of darkness in your life. And the expression of this presence of darkness is felt, it is sensed, it is experienced, it is cognized as feelings and emotions. More specifically, dark feelings and emotions. For simplicity's sake, let us categorize emotions as emotions of darkness and the emotions of light. The dark emotions are, our dark emotions are despair, depression, fear, grief, guilt, shame, unworthiness, envy, jealousy, rage, revenge, hatred, anger, arrogance, discouragement, blame, worry, doubt, disappointment, overwhelmment, frustration, irritation, impatience, pessimism, and boredom. These are the dark emotions. So if these emotions are associated with darkness, then what are its opposites? Emotions that correspond to light are contentment, hope, curiosity, satisfaction, appreciation, gratitude, confidence, optimism, cheerfulness, generosity, compassion, enthusiasm, empowerment, inspiration, bliss, peace, and love. If you have darkness in your life, and if you have come this far into this video, then most likely you have a desire and intention to address that darkness. The tools provided to you earlier in this video will help you to do just that. It is important to understand, however, that fundamental to using these tools or any other tools in the domain of emotions is the principle of application behind these tools. And the overarching principle of application for any tools concerning emotional management is this. Here is the overarching principle. Rather than seek to remove the darkness, intend instead to bring in the light. Let me say that again. Rather than seek to remove the darkness, intend instead to bring in the light. Now you might say, hey, isn't that the same thing? Removing darkness is the same as bringing in the light. Quite the contrary. You see, darkness is of such nature that it cannot be removed. If you are in a dark room, no matter how hard you try, you cannot take out, you cannot dispose, you cannot subtract darkness. That would be an exercise in futility. You can, however, bring in, introduce, insert the light. And when you do so, darkness can no longer exist in the presence of light. You see, our brain processes and imbues the exact words that we give it. Let me give you an example. If I say to you, don't think of a blue camel. Don't think of a blue camel. What is the first thing you think about? A blue camel, right? The brain has to first think about the thing that it is not supposed to think about before it thinks about another thing, before it exerts towards another thought. In the same vein, it is recommended that your efforts not be towards the removal of darkness, instead let it be towards the insertion of light. You bring in light, you do not take out the darkness. As with light and darkness, so it is with our emotions. Abandon the notion of removing fear, of fighting anger, or rejecting guilt. This just won't work. If anything, your fear, your anger, and your guilt will only perpetuate, and you will be left with the additional darknesses of frustration and irritation. Alternatively, if you work towards enhancing your confidence instead of removing fear, bringing in the calm in place of fighting anger, and feeling pride, not ego pride, but feeling pride rather than eliminating guilt, you are now working towards the propagation of light and not the destruction of darkness. So your mindset, your goal, your objective, your intention is best aimed towards the light emotions rather than away from the dark emotions. Remember, if you're trying to fight darkness, you are still focused on darkness, and hence darkness will prevail. If you instead turn towards the light, then the shadows will fall behind you. As I bid you adieu, allow me to share a closing idea with you. And this closing idea is about the word contagion or contagious. While we are mindful about the contagious nature of this virus, perhaps we could also extend our cognizance to the viral nature of our own emotions. Our emotions of fear are just as contagious as this virus, perhaps even more so. When you and me think, talk, feel, and act with the demeanor of fear, it irrevocably, undoubtedly affects other people around us. Even with social distancing, fear is still communicable. Fear can be transmitted through your facial expression, your body language, your tone of voice, on the phone, via email, and most certainly through posts and messages on the internet. Fear is thus more contagious than this contagion. One could even argue that fear has equally pernicious effects. Fear has equally harmful effects. You know, people do die from fear. Just look at the statistics on the number of fear-related or stress-related heart attacks. What is stress if it isn't fear? Going forward, or rather growing forward, let us instead consider the transmission of love, of compassion, of consideration. Just like fear, empathy and kindness are also communicable. They are also contagious. Care and concern are just as easily transmitted. Use your voice, your body language, the telephone, the internet, the email, to infect others with joy, with hope, and with love. Use the tools in this video: slow motion and sporadic motion. Aim to acquire emotions that relate to light. Infect others with love and stay effortlessly within the eye of the storm. My name is Arjun, and I would love to add value to you through coaching, mentoring, or training. You are more than welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn or write to me on email and read some of the articles that I've written. You are also welcome to subscribe to my channel and have a look at this and other videos. I wish you fabulous success.